See, what I like about this is maybe it's not to do for your first investment, but maybe it's your second residential investment, to have the building and pest check done first before making an offer. Is that psychologically what happens for the broker and the seller is that they see you now as a professional. You've done this before, and when you put an offer forward, they're like, okay, that's a good offer. You're gonna buy more trust by setting yourself up with the perceived look of being a professional investor, even if it's your first or second property. And that, I think that gives you such a good psychological edge in terms of negotiations.
Yeah, the risk is that you don't get the property and you waste $600 on a building and pest report. And multiple times it starts to hurt. So I fully get both aspects, and each negotiation and each property is different. So it depends on the market you're buying in. Like I'd push it for certain markets if it's an owner-occupier and not a very high demand area, but it's like an emotional buy.
Yeah.
Then doing those building and pest checks prior to negotiations can really help. And the chances of you securing the property are much greater. Whereas if you're in a really highly competitive market, it's growing, your budget, if you're sitting going I've had clients say I've got $2.5 million and I'm like, oh, I can see value up to 2.6 on this property. So you may miss out, but it's definitely worthwhile throwing a hat in the ring and trying. Putting that unconditional offer or spending that $600 on a building and pest report, you might be able to secure it for $2.5 million. And they take your offer, which might be below what someone else is willing to pay, but they're subject to a building and pests and a finance clause. So I hope that makes sense.
It does make perfect sense. Once you've got your building and pest check done, conveyancers, solicitors, all that work done, and you've signed the documents, and then if you're going to be quite passive in your portfolio, which I suggest not managing the property yourself. If you want to grow, is getting a property manager. We don't need to go too much into a property manager. Obviously, like we said before, go with somebody that's quality. If you want recommendations, we can help you with that as well. Reach out to us. But go with somebody. Don't pay a smaller percentage fee just because it's going to be cheaper and put more money in your pocket. You're probably going to end up doing the property management yourself and still paying a property manager at the same time if you're going to go for cheap. I like to pay people to get everything sorted. Not need to email me minimal amount of times and say, here's your money. Thanks for the good year, and wish you another good year ahead. That's what I like to see from my property managers. And then to add to your team, a little cherry on top is a quantity surveyor that can help you. We talked to Mike Mortlock. Listen to that podcast episode.
31, I think.
Yes, and he's a gun. And
he's director of MCG Quantity Surveyors,
and his property podcast you should check out as well.
Yeah, Gear for Growth.
Gear for Growth.
It's all about sharing the love, and he's a great man to know. But I definitely learnt a lot from Mike. He's got these 3 key pillars of when to use a quantity surveyor. I told Jared that there's times where it might not be worth it, but I guess the underlying fundamentals are if you're unsure, like. What did you say? Probably 95% of the time, it would be worthwhile using a quantity surveyor for your investment property.
Yeah.
But they won't take on the job if they can't give you the value back. So your fee will be say anywhere between $500 to $1,000. They want to guarantee that they can actually get you that back,
and they'll give you a free assessment first before they start working with them. So quantity surveyor is great